Well, the party moves northwest. Miko seems to be, he's leading you quite quickly and surely through this. He seems to know the terrain very well.
Right. I don't think we're going to take any time to explore for the time being. I'm okay with finding wherever this is.
Yeah.
So, Mark's unexplored.
He's leading the Messiah to Mecca or wherever the fuck.
Yeah, 7-Eleven.
Oh,
Like they think we're gods and
Just 7-Eleven, yeah.
changing beats out our necks and stuff like that.
Into the 7-Eleven, alright.
Can we get like a different symbol for traveled through but not explored?
Is there a reason to it?
Different color, maybe.
I don't know.
Just
I don't
just
think
for
we
like
need to know that.
convenience sake, I can throw down a marker.
Can dot like
Oh god, going past 7-Eleven.
Yeah, you're traveling at full speed. I'm taking it. That seems to be the. You do need to. I mean, it is still. You need to rest basically between hexes 7-11 and 6-11.
So that's the night.
Yeah, that's the night.
In the morning, I'll cast another spell on healing then on Miku.
Say.
For 10.
Well, I guess we'll use a scary token. Yeah, sure, I don't mind using scary tokens. These will tell us for sure that we haven't explored these tiles. We'll make it small. We'll make sure to snap the grid.
What?
What?
What was
Did
that?
not snap. That is actually a 40k Dark Heresy familiar for a heretical tech priest that I designed.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
That's certainly an appropriate symbol for something not explored.
What is that?
Yeah, upon again casting healing, Miko will certainly thank Alauneari for being so gracious and helping him.
Yeah.
You told me before that you were the lady of a faster vault.
So I'll say yes.
I'm
Yeah.
unsure what that title entails, but I thought that Festival was a small town of the... He sort of seems to look for the word. The small, rotund creatures. Big
Nice.
noses. We see them sometimes in the jungle.
The city was taken over by different beings. Dwarves, stout, long beards, greedy above everything else. We then came to their aid and liberated them from the dwarves. They were without leadership, so a measure had to be taken.
I see. Yes, we have had sightings of creatures as you describe them, but not so light in color, more dark like yourselves.
Shall make a mental note of that. Really, the Dwagar around. They must also live in the fungal jungle. Shall I ask you, where have these been seen?
Mika considers, I have not seen them myself, although the sage warned us about them. Apparently, the southern part of the jungle.
She nods. That might be useful to us someday. But they are not our allies, and we have slain some of them to stop them from expanding their power base.
Miko looks, over Alauneari, looks over, at the others, Zyn and particularly Rae'nkalar, and says, yes, you do bring a lot of instruments of pain and death with you, it seems.
This place is unknown to us. We do not know what we will find. For example, as you said, there are Dwagar, the dark-skinned dwarves in here. Those are creatures from whom we might have to defend ourselves. In addition to that, we have not brought enough food to stay here for a long time, and so hunting to sustain ourselves is something that might be necessary. tools of pain can also be tools of life, sustaining it in one way or the other.
I guess that is indeed true. Seems to consider. Again, he does have. I mean, the glaive he is carrying seems to be quite wicked if he swung it correctly. Tell me something of your people. He turns to whoever is closest. Maybe he turns to Rain in this case, being interested in apparently all the implements of weapons.
All the weapons.
Yes, all weapons. Are all your people so proficient in arms as you seem to be, black-skinned one?
Not all are as proficient as I am. I personally am here to protect Our Lady, making a gesture towards Alauneari, and the others here, pointing towards Trislin, Rilinid, Zyn.
He seems to nod. Ah, yes. You are the title then of Guardian. He nods solemnly at this.
That would definitely be a correct title to use.
Yeah, he seems to consider. And you said you went to Vault to liberate it from the dwarves. But where do you come from? Originally?
Our original home is not on this level of the... It's not upon the Upper Azathoth, though we have not been away from here in a long time.
Miku blinks and turns around. From these tunnels and caverns? How far away are you home?
It really just lets out this gravelly whistle and says, "Beyond the jungle here, it is many days. Beyond the rather foreboding fortress of Vathis is a pit. Deep beneath that pit is a wide, vast expanse connecting this layer of the Azathoth with the rest. And far beneath that rests a great city from which we were exiled. That is our home. We are... I don't think you even know how far we are from Teresian, Jonas.
I don't know exactly, but it is considerable distance.
Yeah, so that distance provided.
Miku will nod. That is far indeed. You have traveled much, it seems. Looks forward again. I am still young. I have not lived long in the city of Xan. But your stories interest me. I wish once perhaps to see this great chasm of which you speak myself. Although that fortress would be troublesome, I imagine.
The fortress is in fact the primary reason why we are here.
How so?
In order to return to our home, we must first bypass the fortress. Its lady does not view us well. She has designs of her own, ones which would involve utterly controlling and bringing ruin not just to us, but to all denizens of the Upper Azathoth, including the ones in the fungal jungle, by enslaving them and harvesting them for their reagents. Because she is our enemy, we would first have to fall her before we could have any hope of returning home. We cannot do this alone.
Miku nods. I see. Perhaps then it is good that you visit the city of Xan. Such a leader seems dangerous, and if she has, looking over you, has such people as you as enemies, she must be bad. I would not see her saving a life. And looks over the jungle as he moves. Yes, if you could speak with the alchemist, seems to consider. Yes, that might be good.
What can you tell us about the alchemist so that, if we are allowed to speak with him, we might better communicate our feelings?
The alchemist is old, very old. He is the oldest among us, the first to emerge from the birthing caverns. He is blessed with great insight, wisdom, and power. He leads the city of Xan. It is his visions and his decrees that we follow, and it has brought us life. We owe it all to the alchemist. Around him is his court of elders, the steward, acting as the guardian of the caverns and the guardian of the city. He seems to consider he is in charge of many of the hunters and the defenses. Then we have the gardener, in charge of keeping the birthing caverns safe and seeing to that new of our kind is being born and nurtured into maturity. We have the sage, who is the keenest research mind of the city, always on the lookout for new knowledge and new insights into the creatures and plants of this place. He sort of, shows around. And lastly, we have the singer, leading our people in the spiritual worship. He looks over at Rilinid. Does that answer your questions, Rilinid, Vytharia?
There are many which I imagine come from our numerous differences. I am not sure whether they could all be answered within a lifetime.
Miku lets out a sort of low vibrating sound, and you think he's laughing.
Does Alauneari know anything about the worship that these things do?
Well, you can make a religion check. No.
It's like the worst roll.
No.
Alright. Well,
Whatever mushroom people worship, what the hell? All weird anyway.
like, she's never thought she would need to know that.
Of all the things I ever thought I needed to know in life, mushroom people worship.
Mushroom. Well, she will inquire to Miku and say, what does your people believe in? What do they worship?
He seems to consider the worship we do is to a. He seems to sort of trail off. I should not say. For outsiders, it is not permitted. I am sorry.
She nods, thinking that this bodes well. that they might be more understanding of our own religious affiliations.
Maybe you shouldn't advertise Demon Lord.
Exactly. Like, but now they can't really be, offended if we say, like, oh yeah, that's private.
We could only reveal that to people we trust. You obviously don't trust us, so,
They're like, oh, us too. And like we force it out of them. It's like, oh, worship the celestial lords. Ah,
fuck.
oh no.
This is terrible.
Well, that was what those people at the gate were detecting for, huh?
We are worshippers and followers of a pantheon devoted to heaven. Yes,
heaven, yes. Like above
Which god
the
of heaven?
Asathir or somewhere.
A
You're like,
Pasusu?
yes, when we die, we'll go to the surface. Yes.
Yes. I mean, if, he doesn't feel comfortable with saving, never mind the fact that he might owe a life debt. It's fine. You gotta ease people along the path of corruption. It takes time. You gotta work it.
Yeah, you gotta work it.
She has noticed that by the word life debt, that's sort of, struck her fancy. That sounds like a good thing to have. So she's sort of playing along. This is a diplomatic thing.
That's right.
She can be diplomatic, even though, I mean...
You know what? He totally went along with it himself. Rilinid probably was gonna pull it up. I definitely did think of it, but he pulled it up himself. It pulled it up himself. Whatever. I'm not exactly sure whether to call it a gender. I think that would be rude and assuming too much on the Mushroom Man.
You might not even understand it.
That's right.
But,
I think the important question here is, does it have genitals?
Not that you can see.
No.
Well, Zyn, I guess you can't seduce it like you did, darling.
Don't ask.
Zyn is like unbuttoning his shirt.
Well,
as he speaks.
and then here we go. We'll tie into that. You said birthing chambers. How do your people... How are new children created?
New of our people are created in the chambers by the spreading and cultivating of the spores we grow out of the soil.
And you said that you were hunting these spores, which would then be used to help create more children.
That is correct. The precise method is unknown to me. The gardener is the leader of the birthing chamber. But I do know that to help the nutritions of the earth and soil, certain things can be very useful.
What are these spores?
I seem to blink. I am not sure I understand you. They are spores.
Is it any special kind of spore, or just spores in general?
The spores inside the chamber is special. They do not exist outside those caverns.
Right, but you hunt spores. What is it that you look for specifically when you hunt?
Oh, I see. Seems to consider. There is a large variety of things, and he gives you name drops, weird names for things. You're like, yeah, I don't even know how to pronounce this.
Right. He brings it up he speaking in undercommon, but then he drops this crazy fucking made up shit.
Yeah, and you're like, I don't even what that was like.
Is that
10 seconds of just noise?
It's like a plant, an animal, a reagent. He's I'm not sure I understand what you're asking. Fuck.
It's kind of personal what you're asking. I hope he's not asking you the same question. How do you make children?
Well, he might very well throw this back, because this is interesting now.
We call them from the heavens, and they appear. Like
Oh,
you.
I see. On wings of storks.
I mean, if he wishes to ask these questions, I am serious and mature enough to give him a complex answer which will bore Trislan to sleep.
Oh, you
Or
see,
make her. Oh, she will put her hands on her ears.
she's so innocent.
She's
She-
afraid.
Hold Osakari's ears.
She is
Yeah.
so
She's afraid of the one-eyed snake.
she is so mentally fragile that she
Yeah.
cannot handle things that are a natural part of our society as Drow.
No.
It's usually very.
She probably doesn't handle incest that well either. That happens regularly.
What?
Yes, it does.
And particularly between us because we've been so ostracized, you know. So
Quite
separated and, you know, sort
What
of
is-
shunned from the rest of Drow society.
Not in Trislan's world.
Alauneari at the moment
We have,
is thinking about growing her own slaves and these kinds of things. If you could find out how to produce them, then you have a breeding stock and everything.
Like opportunity. This might really be worth it after all.
Like they would never know that there were more of their people and how they really came to be. And she could control the reproduction perfectly. Yes.
Miko will indeed actually throw the question back at you, basically asking, "So how do you grow, if I may ask?"
So, Rilinid will blink and say, and he'll actually lift up the mask for this, because I'm not sure I could do the monotonous voice for this. We need to have a more like, we do not grow our young in chambers. Instead, they are actually ingrown inside the females of our race, as they are for other humanoids, and to a large extent animals as well.
I kind of mentioned and go, how do we grow?
That's a good question. Miko seems to consider. I see. Then that is a strange arrangement.
The arrangement, as you call it, allows for better protection and, I imagine, mobility of the unborn. At the same time, however, it does create I imagine that reproduction takes longer than it is for your birthing chambers, for usually there's only one child in a mother at any given time.
Or in this case, 6.
Yeah, we're a bad example.
We don't speak about the 6.
See, that's why I said usually.
I see. He sort of looks over. And are there any females here?
Yes. Alauneari, whom has spoken with you considerably and who tended to your wounds, is female, as is Trislan, gesturing with a hand.
Just put our hand up in the air.
Indeed, as well as Ivy, who hides quite so well and does not like to be the focal point of conversation. She is a gnome, one of those bulbous-nosed small individuals who used to live in Festival, as you mentioned earlier, and, sort of like mentioning it, not that he feels that way, and Shell, who carries my belongings.
Tristan goes, me's a female too.
Vulnerable.
Rilinid, you like the sort of like the smile, just like sort of like falter. Me?
She picks up me.
Right, Mia clicks its claws to Rilinid.
There is like, this is so rare that happens ever since he got the stone mask decades ago. There is a pained expression.
Alauneari will smile at Miko and take this opportunity to add that in our society it is natural for females to be ranked higher than men, as the females are the ones to create life, and thereby are naturally the ones to lead.
Miko seems to consider this and nod. That seems logical to me. I see. He peers quite intensely at Trislan, and then he peers quite intensely to Zyn, sort of squinting his eyes, and you're you're not exactly sure what he's doing, but he
Rilinid recovers enough from like his discomforted frown to say,
If you're trying to tell the differences between the two, if it makes you feel any better, I don't think any of us will be able to tell the differences between any of your people.
Miku sort of looks down on the ground and says, "Yes, I was trying to understand how I see the difference because the hair and the skin seem so alike." Sort of peering at the two again.
Tristan looks sad down at her boobs. Are they small?
Well, I mean, Zyn is quite.
They are not
strong.
angry enough.
Oh, they're not angry enough. Oh,
You need one of those like plate male bikinis, I guess.
yeah.
Rilinid say,
It might be something which you discern, should you spend enough time with us.
Sort of nods. I guess that is possible. And he, turns around and keeps leading you.
there is like this, after Miku turns around, there's sort of like a glower at Tristan. Like the face hardens and like turns like this menacing stare.
Why?
Mask back on.
And then the mask is just like slid back on. He turns.
Tristan does not know why.
Tristan's confused.
Tristan never knows.
No.
Alauneari is amused.
Why?
Exchange. Because her brother isn't, mostly. That always seems to...
Tristan is confused. Is because she said that me is a female, or is it because her boobs are small?
The mystery will never get solved.
No, it will never.
Just gonna like bother him every night. Why did you look at me like that?
Actually, no. I feel I need to ask because it's been bothering me a lot.
Then just one day she'll go to Zyn. Do you think my boobs are small?
Considering Zyn's strength, maybe he is.
And then Zyn like immediately wants out of the conversation. Like,
That's
looking
yeah.
for a lifeline.
Out!
I'm going to see Tarlin. I'm sorry. I'm just.
Then just waves her hand and leaves.
Ooh, she can ask Tarlin when they get back.
Oh dear, that's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
She just like strips herself completely naked, like stands in front of him. Are my boobs small?
He's like,
My late.
That's the right answer.
Runs his hand through his hair. Not sure.
yeah,
Does a L'Oreal commercial.
yeah, and then like slowly starts to unzip his pants because
No, what?
this is where this is going.
He understands. You
And at this
don't have to
moment,
give him the
Dory
command.
enters the room.
I was like, oh, sister.
Elagares.
I don't know what's going on.
I find
Tristan
it,
is
Not on the
completely
throne,
blank to
dear
stuff
sister.
like
That's
that.
just not appropriate.
I'm completely smiling from ear to ear just thinking about this situation.
I'm sure you are.
Throne.
So I'm not sure what's more fun, playing a game or imagining the hypotheticals that could happen while playing the game.
Great, it's great.
Oh,
Oh.
they're not that far-fetched.
I guess
Oh,
they're
right.
not.
Tristan is not gonna strip down. She knows some stuff. She doesn't know everything. Obviously, since she's been so weird. She's never been with a guy.
She's
So
she
maybe
only
her
has
first
eyes
guess
for
is
her.
gonna be her reaction to maybe bite him.
All right, well, that's
Yeah, YouTube, if you ever
I
wanted
mean,
to draw
if he,
nasty banner,
if
now's
he
your chance.
doesn't go with it, then
I
there's
mean-
punishment for him. So
I mean, intercourse and being intimate among drow is usually quite passionate and, hate-filled and rageful. I mean, it's bodily harm is.
Where did the passionate go?
That's part of the pain. I mean, it's drow.
And, they definitely never turn their backs on each other because to do so would be, like, the most
don't-
terrifying taboo thing ever.
Yeah, and actually a drow that actually like honestly falls in love with someone usually also ends up completely hating and resenting that person because it brings out sort of a weakness in.
Yeah, I know.
And their whole sort of like interactions would be like from 1984, the whole thing of Winston Smith and Julia trying to hide their love because if anyone knew about it, they would use it against them in an instant.
Exactly. So it's very like true love is very much like guilt-ridden and taboo.
Something we all wish that someone have for us, but we all wish it for not to be mutual.
Exactly.
We want it to be unrequited. Well, good thing we
That's
talked about
sad.
that during the trip.
Yeah, well,
they had a very-
Miku considers all of this, and he's very curious, and like, I mean, this.
I
this
mean,
is clearly very fascinating to
I
him.
guess he does have a mushroom head, so you know.
You know.
If we sat on his...
Yes. You sit on mushroom head? Is that what you're asking here? Because
Would you get a multi-butt?
I mean,
That's the question you ask for everything. Can we keep playing?
Alauneari lags a little behind to talk to Zyn about like the
Flowers
guy
and
that
bees.
grows around here. Or the wildlife. Also, she is interested to know if there's any particular kinds of fish in this big lake. We've not traveled across or next to for some time. Have we noticed anything living in the lake?
The lake is avoided by the Xan.
We have to wait for DDS. Dark.
Zyn. Alright.
Okay, I think I'm good now.
Yes, the alchemist has proclaimed the lake to be off limits to us. We do not venture into it. And after all, braving the waters is dangerous for my people.
For ours as well.
I do not know what dwells in the lake, but the alchemist has been very strict in his proclamations.
Look forward to meeting this alchemist. Is he generally well liked?
He is the head of the city, the wisest and most powerful among us.
So your
He is
answer is
truly
no.
great.
You said that he was the first from the birthing chambers?
Yes, he is considered to be the first of the Xan.
This might come across as a obtuse question, but who made him?
He sort of blinks, cocks his hand, and I am not sure. The alchemist has never spoken of it.
Rilinid takes that stretch. Of course, someone in power would never speak about, how, they came to power. That could reveal weaknesses.
Well, Tristan will ask, what is that smoke on the water?
Smoke on the water.
Zyn is playing the guitar behind
Fucking
us.
Europeans.
Air guitar
Yeah.
with his bow.
Me is playing a little guitar.